welcome back, Glenn. Good to see you.
Thank you, Ben. It's good to be back.
Yeah. So, Glenn, with transitional planning, you really help people navigate major changes in their life: marriage, divorce, career changes, retirement.
Right.
And sometimes it's not always about maybe growing the money. Sometimes it's about protecting it.
Right. There are two major phases in life, right? There's the accumulation phase, and then there's the distribution phase. Everyone's going to come to a point where they're going to leave behind whatever they didn't use in their lifetime, right? Well, before that happens, what we want to do is think about who are some of the people that we want to be protecting, right? We've been through a series now of what do you want to protect, how do you protect it. Now let's talk today about who do you want to protect. When I ask you that question, what's the first person that comes to mind when I ask you who should you be protecting?
My son.
Very good. And if you have children, that would be a natural, right? And if you don't have children, but you're married, obviously it's the spouse.
Oh, and my wife.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
No, but think about, just for a moment, the extended relatives. Do you have parents who might become forgetful at some point in life and maybe need some help paying their bills, right? So if you have elderly friends, relatives who might have help come in to help pay their bills, take care of them, perhaps, watch out for situations where they might be abused or neglected, right? But specifically in the situation where they have the wrong person coming in to help them with their mail and their bills, and they might be getting hurt financially, what do you do? How do you protect them against that? Right? So that's what I really want you to be thinking about, because we all have parents, or a lot of us have parents or relatives who are experiencing situations where you realize they're getting hurt.
Well, and interestingly enough, more and more people, you talk about somebody helping them with the mail or helping them with day-to-day activities. Mm-hmm. I know with my grandma. I mean, it's happening, and you see it, and I have with an aging population. I mean, that becomes more and more common. People need help, and especially maybe people aren't retiring as soon as they thought. They can't sell the house to buy the one with the mother-in-law for the backyard. Right. So you have to, you start trying to find help.
Right. And it's really important to have the right kind of people helping. Now, it's real important that people have in place the durable powers of attorney for people who can actually come in, who they trust, to help them with medical decisions and financial decisions. Because if you don't have that in place, then how are you going to have your daughter or son or grandchild come in and help you? They don't have any authority to sign checks. But then, for those who do have that authority, you want to make sure that you're not being taken advantage of, right? The other thing is, what happens if, we talked about advertising. What happens if people get swept away by this idea that sounds too good to be true, because it probably is, right? The big craze nowadays is like equity index annuities or life insurance, because the promise is you can participate in the upside of the market, but when the market falls apart, you don't lose anything, right? Well, that's only part of the story. There's all kinds of participation rates and caps, fees, and what formulas are being used. I mean, those are the most complicated financial tools around, but it sounds so great. But if you're not getting the whole story, you're going to get maybe into something that, you shouldn't have been. I have had a client who every investment he's got is an annuity. That's not right, because then their assets are all tied up. They've got surrender charges. They didn't understand, anything beyond what the salesperson was telling them. So what I'm saying is, perhaps there should be a person in their life that they can trust to go to and say, hey, this has been presented to me. Is this a good thing for me in my situation, right? When you take a look at everything, the way it all fits together, if they don't have somebody like that in their life, they need to be talking to someone like myself. Go to a website that they can trust, transitionplanninginc.com, got resources on there that helps them to not make serious decisions.
Do you think
mistakes.
Do you think that people, I mean, if you have, say, an elderly or, you have an aging parent, is it fair to say, hey, you know what? I know this person's been kind of managing your money.
Mm-hmm.
We would just want to get a second opinion. You don't have to make the big change.
No, but it's a good idea to get another opinion, a professional opinion. And again, people need to have somebody in their life that they can trust to give them that second opinion.
What are some other ways that people maybe end up spending money they don't even know they're spending? I mean, how can people... I imagine you can get overextended in things.
Absolutely. Advertisements. The generation before the baby boomers are very polite, trusting people. And they are big prey for people who are out there with scams. And so they get bombarded with phone calls. They get ads in the mail. They look at their computer. They get stuck in stuff that they shouldn't be like donating money to, and they're overextended. Well, sometimes also a senior, if they've been hurt, especially by a family member, they are too embarrassed to say something. They don't even know who to turn to. Okay. So again, if there's anybody out there who has been hurt like that, they can feel safe coming to Transition Planning, Inc. And we can have a discussion. We can talk about what's going on and just verify, is everything the way it should be?
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's to have the ability to just find somebody for that second opinion. Mm-hmm. What about monitoring their bank statements and things of that nature? I mean, is that something you get into or
no.
No?
No, but there might be other family members who might become aware of something that's really amiss. I mean, why is there so much less in the account this month than there was last month? I mean, mom didn't go out anywhere, or grandma didn't, spend all this money, right? Where is it going? Well, if something comes up like that, again, talking to somebody else outside who can come in and take a look and just kind of see what's going on is real important.
Yeah, I mean, it would seem that just understanding the month to month or quarter to quarter even.
Right.
Yeah, I would imagine that it doesn't have to be a daily grind of,
no.
What'd you buy this today, Grandma?
No.
I went and got lettuce. Okay.
No. And another thing, there's so many aspects. A lot of seniors are like buying medicine on a lot of it. Okay. So are there programs that maybe they could save money on that? There are some clients that are in a senior community center, and that they can only buy their prescriptions through that center. So they don't even have the ability to go out and save money by buying prescriptions through programs that are geared towards saving seniors money. They have to buy it through the senior center.
Is that a liability thing that's gone on because the caregiver doesn't know, and you start intermixing certain? I mean, I would think that at least they could have a foot to stand on. Like, look, we don't know what they're going to take unless we're the ones giving it to them.
Right. If a person starts going down a path where they're kind of losing money, where they shouldn't be having money, or they're spending too much or whatever, they may run out of assets a lot sooner than they anticipated. People are living longer today than we used to, right? This might also impact your own inheritance, right? Or society in general, because if these people go broke by making mistakes that they shouldn't be making, then society basically goes in and there's the welfare system to help them out. Let's try to prevent that from happening is what I'm saying. So if people feel like they've been taken advantage of, they need to be getting in touch with me so we can kind of take a look and see what's going on. And then there's legal help that can maybe come in and just trying to help them get whole again.
Yeah. Talk, the elderly and aging population is certainly something. Mm-hmm. But what about the way that maybe the way an employee should feel protected by their employer? I mean, sometimes you work for a behemoth of a company.
Sure.
And, you feel like they should have some caution for you because you don't always know. No. You don't always know we just talked about this earlier. You don't know everything. You don't even know what you don't know.
Right. See, an employer has employees. Without those employees, basically the company's not going to make any money. Right? So protecting those employees is really important. Some of the basic things, life insurance, medical insurance, disability income. A lot of employers don't have disability insurance, and fewer employers offer long-term care benefits, which is the next phase. It's really important to have after you retire is long-term care protection. So the idea is protecting employees, but then there are those key people in the company who, without those people, the brain power, the special abilities, they are the people who really make the company go, right?
Like Heather.
Exactly. See, so for the key people, the company wants to protect itself from the loss of that key person, right? So having a very good benefit package for especially the key people, not only attracts them to be with you instead of, with your competitor, but also it can help you, get through a loss. Like, for example, if they become disabled or die or something, you have to replace that person. How are you going to do that? And how are you going to take care of that person who's made your company so profitable? So you want to take care of both the person, but also yourself, the company, by, making sure that you have money to replace that person with another key person.
So this is like a company buying life insurance on somebody. Yes, kind of what you're getting at.
Exactly. Life insurance and disability buyout. For example, if there's a succession plan, which I hope that, all companies do, but a lot of companies don't have a succession plan. So what happens if the person who's supposed to take over either dies, becomes disabled, perhaps becomes divorced, and there's this huge, lawsuit coming down on your company because of a marriage that went bad. Wow. If you don't have the right kinds of issues covered in your succession plan, you're in trouble. So again, protecting the company and ultimately yourself, if you're an employer, you want to be thinking about not only the employee, but how do you protect your company as well?
There are so many ways to protect yourself. I mean, to do this. And again, I think it's hard to even broach the subject for some people because, as you said, it can be embarrassing.
Sure.
And I think from an employer standpoint, when somebody says, by the way, we're buying a life insurance policy on you, that could be a pretty funny conversation too.
Well, if they understand, though, the reasoning behind it and the fact that they want this entity to continue, even in the event that something goes wrong with them, especially if they're taken care of, if you have their family taken care of, because, their loss means a big loss for their family as well as for you as a company. So if they feel like you've taken care of them and their family, then they're not going to feel so bad about you taking care of the company as well.
Right. I mean, and I get, ultimately it does show that they're valuable, and
of course,
you're not going to try to knock them off.
No, I think that the more you feel appreciated, the more you want to do for the company, right?
I would agree 100%. And when it really comes down to it, a company does have to protect himself, that its entity, as much as people need to protect their families. I mean, because for the owner of a company, that is protecting their family.
Right. If they don't have a succession plan, again, they need to be talking to me. Talk about transition planning. That's what we do. Think about the transitions ahead that are coming. Whether or not you're ready for it, it's going to happen. Let's plan it out. Okay, so again, go to my website.
Yeah, and of course you can always go to YouTube and watch Glenn's previous videos and shows he's done with us, because when it comes to that transition, that's some of the hardest parts. Mm-hmm. That is when you start looking at spring, and it can equate it to just things start to change, and you can't always go with the same route you were going before. Kind of like the people who drive around with their snow tires still on their car. Take them off, guys. It ruins the roads. It's the same thing. You have a financial planner who helped you save all the money. He might not be the best person to help you protect it in the long run.
That's right.
Glenn, thanks so much for joining us. When we come back, John...